In the build-up to the Guba primary of your party in Delta State, there were a lot of heavyweights in the arena. How would you describe the politics that culminated in Right Honorable Sheriff clinching the ticket of your party?
Yeah, well, I partook at least at the top level of that campaign because I was heading an aspirant's campaign. To that extent, I can say I was involved from the beginning to the end. For instance, we went to Port Harcourt during the screening exercise, and the aspirants were all there. Of course, you know the intrigues in politics. All these were, you know, I was involved. And that is what politics is all about anyway. And it came and ended well.
There was obvious rancor and disharmony within your party following the nomination of the Guba candidate of your party, of which most of it went as far as to the Supreme Court. What is your perspective on the events of that time?
Well, you see, there is no way politics all over the world. In the process of selection, usually you will see this kind of what you just mentioned. They are there. In America, it is so. In Britain, it is so. So it is not peculiar to Nigeria alone, or that is Delta State. It is true that we have contestants, and everybody feels more qualified. And I can tell you, even my candidate, you know, my aspirant then, who are actually having that view too, that we are more qualified. But of course, you know, the delegates will choose. And what we saw reflected the picture of the state, who the state actually wanted to be their governor. And of course, they gave us Sheriff. We are party men and women. We don't have choice other than to work together with him.
Some have described you as being very active with the Guba candidate of your party at that time, who incidentally is the governor-elect of Delta State. You were very active and committed during the Guba elections. Considering your role leading to the primaries of your party, would you say you had to deal with ambivalence?
As a party man, from day one, we all contested, we were all involved. We agreed that there must be only one candidate at the end of the day. And of course, we all equally agreed to that if Chief Ebele was chosen, they too will join us. And when Sheriff eventually got the ticket, it is part of the agreement we had with the party chairman and the sitting governor that you should work together with whoever emerges as a party. And when you say I'm active, of course, I must be active as a party man because the party comes first before my aspirant or my principal and before myself. And so I must be active to ensure that we defend that the delegate has presented to us. And so that's why, if you see I was involved here and there, yes, of course, is to ensure that the party, if I say because Abel lost the primaries, and then I will go and sleep at home, and that of Odebala got back home and sleep, and that of Edevia go back and sleep. At the end of the day, we will not have PDP again.
Considering that the litigation went as far as to the Supreme Court, would you say that those who engaged in that or those who went that route had no reasons to do so or had no respect for the party?
You see, in democratic contests of such nature, just like I told you before, so most people, you feel I'm more qualified. I am not more, I should be given the chance. So, but what you saw there, particularly two of them, and I think I'm free, I can mention them. It was just Chief Edevie and one Mr. Ike, Barrister Ike. And right from the day of the screening in Port Harcourt, Ike stood up, I was there, and he said, I will go to court. Even when we have not begun, we are just starting the process, he said, I will go to court. What do you think? So it therefore means that it is not the process, the eventual emergence of Sheriff, rather somebody might not be genuine party man. That's what I can look at, you know. And the other person, Uncle Dave, that I call him Uncle Dave, right? Say Dave, for instance. Uncle Dave, yes, he said he has a better credentials that would make him be a better governor. But delegate choose somebody they believe is more, they are more at home with. And so, if you say there are acrimonies, of course, it lasted till a few days ago, where the last case was dispelled with, and the court said the party has spoken. People have spoken, and that Sheriff is qualified than others. And of course, that's where we are today.
Before the general elections, you saw the disaffection that reigned in your party and the obvious defection of high-ranking members of your party in the state. How would you describe the health of your party today in the light of those?
PDP still remain the strongest party in Delta State. Now that's, you see, how do you know? If you look at that what you call defection, just now moving to other parties. At the end of the day, PDP is called 21/25. It shows that those that moved out, they don't have real major control over the party souls. Okay, and I can tell you that in Delta State here, PDP is much on ground, and that to me, from inception, from Ibori to Duanga to Okowa, there have been growth. The state has grown. I mean, it's growing, and it has grown to the point. For instance, don't talk about this Delta beyond oil. We start to have some attention in some areas of the states, 0 to 5 initiatives, and all of those programs. And these things brought the Deltas to be happy and to be more at home with PDP. When Okowa came, Okowa looked at infrastructures. He looked at roads, bridges, and considered training of the youth so that they can look outside government employment, so that they can be independent. And this again brought them more closer to PDP, and that is why PDP actually got that victory. So if you say defection, you see, I will just want to be very frank with you here in terms of this defection. Right from the beginning of Delta politics, at least this 1990 date, it has been the central where you have defection actually, and so they be playing opposition street system from beginning. It is the north and the south that have been playing the robust interest in PDP structure, and there is nothing, as far as I'm concerned, that's defection. We have been winning before, we continue to win. Even with defection does not mean we will not win.
All right, having expressed your thought on the health of your party, but let me ask, were you jittery when you saw the spirit of the exodus that greeted your party ahead of the polls in March?
Honestly, we are human beings. We never expected what actually happened. I will tell you, as a party man, I won't tell you that I was not I'm a human being. I got cheated, but the truth is that is politics for you, and Nigerians spoke too. But you can be rest assured if I tell you that PDP was rigged after that election, and we knew it was not the reflection of the true picture of Nigerians. That is not actually what Nigeria wanted. Nigeria wanted PDP. Okay, because of the nature of our INEC, that's electoral system, the structure that determines who becomes president, and so they were able to use that as a sitting as national party, that is the ruling party, to use that their government instrument against PDP, and that against Nigerians. And I can tell you that today Nigerians are not happy. Yes, of course, I was actually worried when I saw that result that happened for the election.
Evidently, you're a grassrooted and a pragmatic politician, but how did you move from a near disaster for your party at the national elections in Delta State to an emphatic victory for your party at the sub-national elections in Delta State?
Yes, immediately after the presidential election, we knew some things were not done rightly. Okay, and I can tell you, I want to be very bold to tell you that fact too. Most of our political leaders went back home and sleep, believing that, oh, Atiku has won. Okay? There was this conscious belief that the North would deliver Atiku. And so there was this laxity back home here. Okay? And of course, when he lost, of course, there's some way we would have closed our eyes, we miss A and miss B at the same time. And so as a party, we came together, and of course, through the robust structure of Okowa, Governor Ato Okowa, he actually played a vital role. There are three persons I want to talk about here. Ato Okowa, the governor of the state, Michael Diden, okay, the man they call it Jele, and of course Sheriff. You saw Sheriff to work 24 hours to ensure that we reach the reachables. We talk to those that need to be talked to. And of course, the in quote the obedient then, or I will annually call them disobedient Deltans. You know, disobedient. So they talk to them too, and we reach out to them. And you see, prior to that governorship election, many things were not heard about what Okowa had done. And this is a basic fact. You know, there was these lies everywhere. Okowa has taken billions or trillions of loan. Okowa has indebted the state. Okowa, you know, you get the point now. And consciously, because people were not really, attention was, you know, placed on the federal election, as national election. Even himself too was much more concerned about the presidential election, to the extent that a lot were not done back home. These were corrected before the primary, governorship election. A lot of things happened, and by the grace of God, he gave us that resounding victory you saw.
You have spoken glowingly of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa and other principal actors of your party in the just concluded general elections. Good enough, your party have secured the leadership of Delta State. But let's move from where we are now to where you are headed. People have different impression of the governor-elect of Delta State, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori. As somebody you are conversant with, as somebody I believe you know at a close range, how would you describe him suitable for the mandate he's so given?
Uncle Sheriff. Yes, I know him very well. He's a very close friend of mine, and he's a man I respect so much. For one simple reason, his attentiveness to issues. And of course, that will really help him. This is a man, you see, he listens. I know, so one principal attitude that makes a leader to deliver is when you listen, because you cannot know it all. You listen to hear and to feel the pulse down there that will enable you to perform or to discharge your duties. Yes, so the sheriff I know has that trait, a listening man. And a dogged man too. You can imagine the number of cases that were filed against him, and the man was still much on ground, facing the real Delta inside of him. That and you know one beauty thing about Sheriff, throughout this legal issue, Sheriff never one day responded or talked to any of these, you know, attackers. That is what he was, just focused on where he was going to. That's a sound character in him, okay? And of course, you know, he's been leading the House of Assembly for the, you know, the last 7 years now, thereabout. And there's another special thing about him. We have never had a speaker that spent 3 years on that seat. He's always talk about impeachment upon impeachment, but for the past 7 years or thereabout, he's been sitting down on that side as speaker. That shows his degree of a team spirit. Is able to you know, to coordinate the house, to harness the goodness of each of the members to achieve target. That is a very good sound. And of course, I was discussing with some staff, you know, a friend of mine, that's our assembly there, McCartney Obruto. He said one thing that Sheriff is good at in their place there, that is where they work there, training. There has been continuous training, retraining for junior officers, senior officers, house members, to ensure that they get latest skills in discharging duties. What else you need from a governor? I'm sure with that trait, for instance, now the civil servant will now begin to enjoy that training too shortly, and including we politicians who need to be trained too, because we need skills to do good things. I think because I can tell you that Sheriff is a nice man. Sheriff is a very nice man. I've worked with him, I've sat with him, I've discussed with him. He's a man who asks you, what is your view? If you look at my age, the gap between myself and Sheriff, but again, Sheriff was, Tola, were you angry the way I talked yesterday? I'll say, no, sir. I say, okay, that was a night. That was a night. I met him a day before. You know, we could not reach agreement on a particular matter. You know, so I left. In actual sense, I was not that I was happy when I was leaving. No, at about 5:30 or 6 a.m., My phone rang. I look at it, Sheriff. I pick it. I say, Your Good morning, sir. He said, Tola, how are you? I said, friends. So, were you offended yesterday? I said, boss, how will I keep for what now? He said, because I just noticed I didn't speak well with you. I said, boss, no, sir. Of course, this is a man. This is a governor. This is a leader you want to work with.
Well, I'm not going to let you shy away from an emanating story in some quarters. One of the foremost leaders of your party and the former governor of Delta State, Chief James Ibori, is visibly seen hobnobbing with the APC and sharing some affinity. Understanding the antecedent and plausible trajectory of politics in Delta State, and considering his influence and ability to create pathways, should Delta PDP not be worried?
Yes, Chief Ibori is a leader. Chief Ibori is our eldest brother. Chief Ibori is a respected party man. And of course, when you say romancing with APC, I can tell you that Ibori served his 8 years alongside Tinubu. And of course, they must be friends as a governor. And at that point in time, Ibori was more or less their leader. To that extent, if you say it's romancing, until he comes out to tell us that I've moved out of PDP, I will not say so, I will not agree with you. But having said that, nothing will happen to PDP in Delta State, especially if Sheriff remains Sheriff, that he is. That is to say, doing the right thing. When you governor, you decide duty the way it should be discharged. There's somebody that can shake you. And so, I'm not even if Ibori is leaving the party, he's not the first person that have left our party, for Christ's sake. And I'm not going to see that as a major factor that can cause the death of PDP in Delta State. The only thing that can affect PDP is only if our party, if our governor is not doing the right thing. If he actually come out to execute the more agenda he has for Delta State, obviously, Ibori leaving will not cause us distractions.
It has been an immense pleasure having this conversation with you. Immeasurable thanks to you, Admin Tola, for your candor and for giving us your time.
Thank you very much, sir.